If you're thinking about getting into model railroading or you're already an addict, boy, do we have a project for you. In this episode, we're gonna lay it all down, baby, starting right now. Hey, welcome to It's My Railroad, the how-to show for regular people. On this show, we talk about model railroading from a regular person's perspective. We're just regular people building a model railroad. Oh man, it's so much fun. We love hanging out as a community. You can tell by looking at the comments of any of these videos. So if this is the kind of thing you're into, why not just hit that subscribe button and then don't forget to push that little bell icon so you can catch future videos. Just before we get going, a lot of the products we're going to use today I purchased from Midwest Model Railroad. These are some great guys, love the hobby, take great care of their customers, great pricing, great selection. Oh my gosh, I can't say enough about them. Listen, if you get a chance after this video, click the link down in the description and boom, it'll take you right to their website. And then surf around a little bit, then tell me what you think of Midwest Model Railroad in the comment of this video. All right, rail fans, let's get into this. If you've been watching, you know that we're at the point of this build where we've traced out where the track's gonna go for the most part, cut out a bunch of styrofoam we don't need, and now it's time to lay down some roadbed. Whoa, that means track is just around the corner. She'll be coming round the mountain when she comes. I had to throw that in there, I'm sorry. Back on topic. Anyway, so there's a lot though that I did since the last time we were together. I was so excited, I just kept on moving. And when we get into the hobby room, we're gonna take a quick tour of all the stuff I did, and then we're gonna get down to laying some roadbed. So rather than keep on blabbing about it out here, I say we go into the hobby room right now. Hey, welcome back to the hobby room, to the Brown Smith subdivision, and our second deck expansion, just rocking the house. I'm having such a good time doing this. I hope you guys are enjoying watching me have a good time doing this. All right, so since the last time we were together, I got a little bit more work done because I was so excited I couldn't help myself. I went ahead and finished marking out the track zone for the track that's going to be on the stack train line on the second level of the Helix complex. And so I kind of get a feel for where everything's going. Then I went through and marked out the area of styrofoam that I just want to cut out. I'm cutting it out because all the risers for all these elevations, all these grade changes, I want them to be set down right on the plywood, not set up on styrofoam. To me and my little pea brain, it just makes more sense. It'll be more stable. I don't know if that's a thing. That's a thing in this hobby room, so I'm doing it. So we got that done. Then I went and I cut it all out. I just used my X-Acto knife and just sort of cut right along on that line on the styrofoam. Made a huge mess because I'm using white styrofoam. We've got a little surprise for you though later on relative to that. So anyway, and then I pulled those pieces off. I covered all of the top of the plywood with carpenter's wood glue and then stuck the styrofoam back down on there, and it's all set up. Really solid, looks pretty good in my humble opinion. Then I kept going with some other stuff I had to get out of my head and onto this deck, and I'm going to show that to you just ahead of actually laying some track starting over at the Helix complex. So going the other direction, let's start under Switch Junction with this area that I'm going to make a freight terminal. And you can see here I've got the cars laid out, and you see I sort of traced out where the freight terminal buildings might go, and the stalls the trucks will back up to unload their freight. That's one thing I did. The area that you see here in green, that's where I'm gonna have asphalt or something like a roadway, truck turnaround, stuff like that. At least this is what I'm thinking I'll do. Then just on the outward side of that, you see I've got my grain cars lined up there. I'm thinking of transferring grain operations down there. So trucks will be bringing in grain, loading the hoppers. They're gonna make their way all the way up and around to the port, to Port Smith, and then over to the grain silo that we have up there at the port. That ought to make for some fun operations, I hope. Moving just a little further then to the east, we'll call it. You see I got a couple of tanker cars set here and some tanks. I'm thinking I'll have tanker trucks bring in something that gets loaded onto tanker cars and shipped somewhere. I haven't decided if it's coming up to the port yet or if it's just going off layout to this little staging idea I have, but that'll make some more interesting operations there. As we move further along, this is the yard that I've sort of envisioned. You see again, back here in the back, we've got the green area. That's like where a road's gonna go. And then back behind that, you see this orange area. That's where I'm kind of thinking I'm gonna put the dry wash that I'm modeling from this Cajon Pass kind of area. I'm gonna show you some more pictures of that as we get further along. Then moving even further east, I have all the locomotives sitting there in a configuration where there might be maintenance building there, a fueling facility, something. I'm just gonna stuff all the locomotives into there when they're not being used. We'll figure that out as we move forward. And then a little further around, you see I took some of the buildings off the upper deck, just set them down in there for now to kind of give it some depth. I don't know. I'm gonna put some buildings and junk in there some kind of way. I don't know. I haven't figured it out. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at right now with laying everything out, subject to change without notice, just because it's my railroad and I'll change it if I feel like it, or if you guys tell me I'm doing something stupid. Before we start laying track, I want to introduce you to some of the players in today's episode. I went over to Midwest Model Railroad, bought a whole bunch of junk. I want to show you what I got, but before we do, I have to point out again, still don't have the LED lighting that I bought. It's coming from China, and apparently it's on the slowest boat from China ever. So I'm still waiting for it. So we're gonna have to deal with the darkness. Get over it. Just kidding. Anyway, so let me start though by showing you something new to any of the railroad stuff I've done. This is a number 8 Pico Insel Frog turnout. I've used number 6 and number 4. Never number 8. I'm using number 8 because I want these longer trains to have this long, smooth transition as they move around the layout. So I got some lefts, I got some rights, and very excited about that. Also, got me some Pico Code 80 Flex Track. Now, Pico Code 80 Flex Track is what I've used on the rest of the layout, and I really like it. There's also Atlas track, there's Micro Trains track, I think. There's all kinds of track you can get. Kato, Unitrack. Guys get what guys like, guys install it. I like this, I'm sticking with it. So I got me a whole box of this to put on this layout. Moving along, I've got this cork roadbed I also got from Midwest Model Railroad. It's by Midwest, by the way. Like the cork roadbed, there's cork roadbed, there's foam roadbed, there's knot roadbed, there's all kinds of ways to put in your roadbed. I like this method for the most part. I say again, pick what you like and roll with it, because that's how I rail. Then we got some other little guys here. You can't see these very well. These, my friends, are insulated rail joiners. This first part of the layout is a reversing loop. We need to insulate the rails from the rest of the railroad so we can control its polarity independent of the rest of the railroad. They're very small, and I actually shop vacuumed them up once. I had to dig through my shop vac to find them. Good times were had there. Now, I'm going to use this Gorilla paintable sealant caulking silicone stuff. I get different stuff every time. I don't know, just whatever my gut tells me. But I'll squirt this out and then blade it off with a putty knife, stick the cork roadbed down, put this on top of the roadbed, and glue the track down. So we're gonna use this stuff when the time comes. And then of course I got me a brand new putty knife just for you guys, brand new. They don't make putty knives like that anymore. Well, actually they do. I just bought this at Lowe's today. So to get started on laying this cork roadbed down, I've got the caulking gun here, and I decided I'm gonna start way back over here, and I'll just start putting a little bead down. Along there. And we're gonna take this route around for now. So there's that bead. Let me just go through with the old putty knife and sort of smooth all that out. But I can see I only did 1/2 of it for now. That's because I'm going to lay this cork in here, and then I'll come back and do the other half after that. So since I already have this track zone laid out, I can pretty much just set this down so that it straddles the track zone. That's what I'm telling everyone anyway. And see, without even any pins in it, it's kind of already holding right where it needs to go. And so I got that first piece in. Not so bad, right? I can go in if I want, and I do. I'll put the second piece in. Same way. Throwing the caulking out there. Smooth it out. And then set in the roadbed. I'm going to stagger it a little bit because I got this thing about not having joints that are straight across. It could be overkill, but that's how I roll. Something like that. There we go. Like that. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to pick up over there and we'll just keep going. And just like we did before, I went ahead and put a couple of pins in here to hold that in place. It's getting a little squirrely there, and I wasn't pleased with it. I'm just going to continue around the whole way. Well, anyway, that's pretty much how I lay down my cork roadbed. Many ways to do it, I guess. That's my way, anyway. So the rest of what we're going to do is pretty much more of the same. Just laying down more cork. Not real exciting, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. And you can sort of follow along a little bit. If we hit a snag or something, well, then, of course, I'll jump back in and talk about it a little bit. Other than that, just enjoy the music if I decided to put any here. And I'll see you when we get ready to glue down some of that track. Okay, so I got all that roadbed installed and it looks pretty good. Happy with the way it came out. I have never laid long, straight stretches of roadbed before. It's pretty cool. I feel like a model railroad grown-up right now in the hobby room. But anyway, I put that down and then I realized there's some other things I have to get done before I lay track, which I was hoping to lay track in this episode. I'm pretty sure we'll do it in the next episode, but let me show you some of the things I had to get done in anticipation of laying that track. First of all, I forgot that back here, I have this reversing loop for the train that goes up to Port Smith on the 5% grade. We're gonna call it the Port Smith line. I forgot about the loop. So I went through and took the cut out piece of styrofoam that I had left over, put it back in place. Then I laid out the track in the loop I want. In this case, I'm using a 22-inch diameter loop. It's just switchers going on it, so it doesn't matter. Laid the track out there, cut it all out, broke it out, glued that down. The reason I had to go through now and put in the loop for the Port Smith line is because all the track that comes up here at the back of the layout goes over that. So trying to lay track underneath all that track is going to be kind of a pain, I figure. So I went ahead and got that going now. So when we get around here, there'll already be track on there. We'll just kind of go over the top and then figure out how to get access to it. Then I went through and I glued down the cork roadbed for that loop and joined it up with what goes through the yard, which we haven't given a name to yet. But something, let me bring you a little closer and let me show you. This is the roadbed for the main line that the stack train goes on. And then I put in a single wide piece of roadbed as a spacer, basically. And then doubled up again on the regular roadbed for the second line that's going to be going through the yard. I did that to give me separation, nice and straight. Use it as a straight edge to get these things really parallel. And it turns out the difference, the distance from center to center on those rails, if I measure it out, it's just about 1 3/4 inches. The NMRA recommends 1.5 inches minimum from center to center to make it easy to get to cars, so cars don't bump into each other and stuff. So this is a little bit extra. It's a little closer to prototype, I think, even though if it wasn't, I'm just doing it because that's how I roll. With each successive lay of roadbed moving up into the yard, I will use that spacer piece and put in a double piece of roadbed, a spacer piece, on and on and on, and that gets that done. So that's what we were able to get done in this episode, and I think for now that's it. I think we should just head back into the studio. And we're back in the studio. Boom, got some roadbed laid down finally. Well, we got a whole lot more roadbed to lay before we get too excited, but next week we are going to install some track, I guarantee it. And when we do, we're gonna put in some turnouts, we're gonna put some temporary wiring down, I think, and then we're gonna run a choo-choo train on that bad boy. Whoa, won't that be a whole lot of fun? Make sure you tune in. Speaking of tuning in, this is the kind of stuff we do on Sidetracked, It's My Railroad, and our talk show Track Smack. If you're into that sort of thing, why not just go ahead and subscribe, and then make sure to like and share this video with somebody. Don't forget to connect with us on Instagram and Facebook during the course of the week. And again, thank you so much for joining me here at It's My Railroad. Until next time, my name is Steve Brown. Rail on, my friends.